So my name's Kelley. I've been at NewLeaf for almost 5 years now. Hired in to help lead up as we were scaling and building our manufacturing presence. And over the last year, I've shifted to, my title now is Vice President of Product Strategy. So I'm leading the commercial efforts in our row crops and helping us to kind of figure out our path forward on new products. Yeah, so Terrasym, NewLeaf as a company, we've been around for about 9 years. A lot of effort in those early years in R&D and development and finding the right strains. So Terrasym is a biological product. It's a gram-negative bacteria that really lives symbiotically with all plants. Actually, we haven't found a plant yet that doesn't have this type of a microbe. It's a mouthful. It's called a pink pigmented facultative methylotrophs. So we really like to use this marketing phrase, the power of pink, because all of our microbes are pink. They have this natural pink pigment that helps to protect them from the sun, but they really have this dynamic relationship, symbiotic relationship with plants. And so we spent a lot of time screening through our library. We've got over 12,000 of these strains in our library. And so we've got products out now for corn and soy. We've had them out the last 2 or 3 years, but I'd say we really made an inflection this year. We're on about 1 million acres between our corn and soy products, and we think we could double or triple that next year. So it's helping that plant get a great start, a really good early root mass. So it goes on with the seed in one form or another. So early on, we developed soybean seed over treatment. That is still an existing form of product that we sell today. This year, we started selling a planter box form of the product, and we've had a really good response to that. It really also helped us with access to the corn market, which was one that we were struggling with. We had tried in the past to do in furrow. It was a bit challenging. It was just a little too hard for the farmer to use, and that was challenging for us. Last year, we had about 30,000 acres of corn sold. This year, we've got 600,000. So that shows you the difference that planter box has made. So now we can go on with the seed lubricant. So we sell the product pre-mixed with dust, which is a soybean seed lubricant. And we've got a partnership with Low Mutech that distributes that. It's very friendly to the biologicals. So now when you're adding your seed lubricant, and almost every farmer does that, you can get that biological upgrade to that seed lubricant. Works as well for soybean seeds. We do have some versions of the product that are co-packaged with a talc graphite as well. That one cannot be pre-blended. It has to be kept separate because the talc is detrimental to the microorganism if it's pre-blended over a long period of time. So a lot of these products we've had out in commercial trials for at least 6 years. So a lot of time. I think what we find as a startup, and this can be challenging in the ag space, is you've got to have that 3 or 4 years of trialing just to get somebody interested, to show the effectiveness of your product. But that customer typically is going to want to do trials for a year or two. And so we've been going through that process. We've been commercial now, I'd say for 3 years, but really early on we were still feeling some things out, trying to get some things set up. This year is really our big year for kind of taking off and really getting some footprint in the market. So we have a new strain that's approved for corn rootworm. We just got that federally approved. We've still got to go through some state approval processes. But it's, again, the nature of that type of a product that up until we get approval, we're limited to 10 acres a year of testing. And so while we did just get approval, we're not going to go commercial with that next year. We want to take that year to really get on some bigger acreage, really have the data we need to launch in a bigger way in 2024. So next year in 23, we're really looking for those partners that we can place trials with that have corn rootworm pressure, and we can get that data back to help us make those final commercialization decisions. But we're really excited about that product. I think what these microbes are really, really good at doing is helping to make a healthier plant. You see it very early on. We'll see earlier emergence, more consistent emergence, bigger root mass. We've dug these. We see root mass increases of around 10%. Finer root hair development, and that also translates into stronger nutrient uptake. So we've measured 20% increases in iron, manganese, nitrogen uptake into these plants because of that stronger root system. So anytime you've got a year where you've got any sort of agricultural stresses, we find the microbe really helps to close that gap that's going to create it in the yield potential for that whether it's corn or soy that year. Now, I will say biologicals is the nature of biologicals. It really helps if there's any sort of stress. If you've got that perfect year, it's going to yield well, and we may not help if you do a side-by-side. But I think the other years where you've got under average performance, even average performance, we kind of help kick you up into that next category. So if it's an average year, we'll probably help you get above average. If you're really in that top 1 or 2 out of 10 years of yield performance, you know, that may be the year that biologicals may not have made a difference. But boy, it's an insurance policy. Really helps if there's any sort of stresses. This year's been a pretty stressful year in a lot of places, and we're seeing some really dramatic improvements with the product being out there. Yeah, so we have shifted this year. So this will be our commercial approach in 23 and moving forward, where we're partnering with a couple of key distributors. So Mutech, who's the carrier of the soybean dust seed lubricant, is one of our partners, and they've got a pretty broad distribution network, probably about 700 plus distribution points. So you can go to their website and find their distributors that are carrying the product. Meristem is another commercial partner of ours, so they'll be carrying the graphite co-pack products, and they've got a pretty substantial distribution partnership. So that's what we're going to commercial with next year. We're working on another fairly large distribution network that we hope to get signed soon, so we may have a third as well next year. But that's kind of our approach to go to market. NewLeaf really feels like we're at this stage now where we're starting to get some momentum, products starting to get known, name is kind of out there. Like I said, we made 1 million acres this year. Right now, early indicators for next year, we could be on 2 to 3 times that for next year. So really feel like we're getting some growth, and I think that corn rootworm product is going to help push us forward even faster.